Hi. So I just want to talk about how often we're really resistant to change. Imagine when every time a new Facebook layout comes out, everyone freaks out. So what would happen when the possibility of different methods of transportation are brought up? So I have a list of some quotes stated by really famous people, reputable people, that today seem kind of ridiculous to have ever been stated and questioned. So the first one, I'll go through a first set of 5 that were given through class. So number 1, stated by Thomas Watson, chairman of IBM in 1943. He said, "I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers." Isn't that funny? IBM, a computer hardware company, and even their chairman didn't have faith. Number 2, a Boeing engineer stated this after they built and had the first flight of their plane 247, saying, "There will never be a bigger plane built." Now, this plane held 10 passengers. So I thought this quote was important because, um, sometimes we forget that when we build something, we can always improve on it. So, number 3, this was stated by the president of the Michigan Savings Bank, who was advising Henry Ford's lawyer not to invest in the Ford Motor Company back in 1903, who said, "The horse is here to stay, but the automobile is only a novelty and a fad." So, I mean, again, people just resist change. They say the horse worked as a method of transportation, so why change something that's not broken? But this investor failed, I believe, to realize that maybe this convenience achieved with the automobile could change the world, and furthermore, that luxury in one world can someday become a necessity in another world. My 4th quote that I chose, again stated by IBM, was, "The world potential market for copying machines is 5,000 at most." IBM told this to the eventual founders of Xerox. And this was in response to saying that the photocopier had no market large enough that would justify that kind of mass production back in 1959. Yet again, IBM couldn't be more wrong. Number 5, my last one from our class list, is stated by Henry Morden, president of the Stevens Institute of Technology. And he said this in regards to Edison's light bulb back in 1880. "Everyone acquainted with the subject will recognize it as a conspicuous failure." So my main takeaway from this quote is that people are going to doubt you, and they will try to discourage you. Just because they can't see a bigger picture, though, doesn't mean that we have to let that stop us. If we're confident and appropriately confident in our ideas, no matter how crazy they might sound to most of the world, the important part is just to pursue that. So now I'll just quickly go into the additional quotes. So for my first one, I found a statement made by Dr. Alfred Villepeu, a French surgeon, back in 1839, and he stated, "The abolishment of pain in surgery is a chimera. It's absurd to go on seeking it. Knife and pain are 2 words in surgery that must forever be associated in the consciousness of the patient." That's pretty sad. And especially that just a couple of years later, in 1842, the first successful general anesthetic was documented. Imagine if doctors today had that kind of tone. Where would we be in medicine? Number 2. This was stated by Dr. Dionysius Lardner, professor of natural philosophy and astronomy at the University College in London. And Dr. Lardner stated, "Men might as well project a voyage to the moon as attempt to employ steam navigation against the stormy North Atlantic Ocean." So it seems like maybe Dr. Lardner may have been onto something. My main takeaway from this quote is that sometimes we make these remarks that are seemingly ludicrous at the time, but they might turn out to be completely valid in the future. I can even see us laughing one day about how foolish we were to dismiss the feasibility of teleportation. Number 3. Marshal Ferdinand Foch, a French military strategist in 1911, said, "Airplanes are interesting toys, but of no military value." So Foch went on just a year later to become a World War I commander. And now at this time, even though aircraft was very early stages, by World War II, the technology had advanced so much that aircraft bombers and planes became total game changers in war. And this was something that a military strategist failed to see the potential for. Number 4, a statement made by Popular Mechanics magazine in 1949 stated, "Computers in the future may, perhaps, only weigh 1.5 tons. And imagine, today the lightest laptop weighs 1.72 pounds. I mean, we always underestimate how far we get in technological advancement. It's amazing. My last quote is by Robert Millikan in a speech he gave to a chemist club back in 1928. "There is no likelihood man can ever tap the power of the atom. The glib supposition of utilizing atomic energy when our coal has run out is completely unscientific and a utopian dream, a childish bugaboo. Nature has introduced a few foolproof devices into the great majority of elements that constitute the bulk of the world, and they have no energy to give up in the process of disintegration." Now, Millikan wasn't alone. Rutherford and Einstein both agreed that the atomic bomb, the energy from splitting an atom, it's impossible. It's just not going to happen. So when you have the front runners in physics and chemistry denying such things, they're the experts and they still can't see a future beyond where we're at. So I think I want to leave us with saying that it's okay to feel foolish if we deny a certain advancing technology and possibility, but we should actively try to work on not limiting our vocabulary and our imagination, because how else are we going to dream big? Thanks.